Hello and welcome to TECM 1500 within the Technical Communication Department at UNT. In this introductory video for Module 1, I'll introduce myself and explain the objectives of this course and the types of assignments you can expect and other details to know so that you can plan for success. In this class, our main objective is to look at a wide array of the various job roles involved in producing digital software and apps. If you think about virtually any digital program like Microsoft Outlook or Google Drive, or even regular websites like Canvas and UNT homepage, or applications on your phone, those digital softwares are all developed in more or less the same way, with teams of people doing more or less the same job functions at each of those companies. In addition to just learning the names of these job roles and what their primary responsibilities are, we'll focus quite a bit on how these jobs actually work together. And as we'll come to discuss soon enough, it's actually the collaboration of these job roles, the designers, the developers, the technical communicators, and the many other people involved, bringing their skill sets together to achieve a common goal that gets the job done. A little bit about me. I've been working in the digital technology space as a user experience designer and now manager for over 10 years. And in addition, I graduated from UNT via the Technical Communication Department, and I've been teaching here off and on since I was a graduate student in this department. And when I'm not working in the tech industry or teaching at UNT, I'm hanging out with my family and the too many animals that we have. The first thing to know is that our course is entirely online and entirely asynchronous, meaning that you will need to go through the materials on your own each week and complete the assignments on your own. We don't have a set time that our class meets, even virtually, and we won't have regular touch points where we talk directly. That said, I am available at any point should you want to discuss anything or have any questions, but you'll have to proactively reach out to me via email or Canvas to either ask your question or set up a meeting. And if I don't hear anything from you, I'll assume that you're going through the material and completing the assignments just fine. Because the class opens new material and assignments in weekly increments, you'll need to find a system that works for you to complete the work on time. There is ample time provided to complete each assignment, and this class is intentionally designed to not have too many assignments going on at one time. I really recommend logging into our class weekly, if not daily, to make incremental progress so that you're not waiting until the last minute because, as we all know, things come up when we least expect them to. Basically, I'll open up new modules by the Monday of each week, and you'll have until the Sunday of that same week to do any reading, watch any videos, complete any quizzes, and any other assignments of that module. I do provide the memo assignments up to 2 weeks in advance to get those done, and I'll go over in a second a little bit more about the memo assignment. As for the way that the course is structured, each topic listed here is a separate module in Canvas. And as for the long semesters, like a full fall or a full spring, not something like summer or Maymester or anything like that, but during each week, I'll open up a new module in this order. That module will contain the materials for you to read or watch, as well as the assignments for each week. This slide doesn't reflect break weeks like spring break or Thanksgiving. The syllabus provided shows where those breaks fall within this schedule for each semester. But this is just all the content that we're going to go over and the order in which we'll go over it. Some of these topics have a bit more content than others, but if you consume the required materials and get the quizzes and discussions and memos done, it is very likely that you'll get an A. The memo prompts cover relevant content from the course, and the quiz questions are not designed to trick you, so if you thoroughly consume those required materials, you should do just fine. The final exam at the end of the course at the bottom there will cover the most foundational concepts from throughout the course, and it is also not intended to trick you. If you've been keeping up with the materials and paying attention, you'll be fine on the final as well. The final exam format is also like the quizzes, which is a multiple choice quiz format via Respondus Lockdown browser. We'll go over that in a few slides. So let's talk about the main types of assignments in our course. Quizzes count for 35%. The memos are the largest chunk of your grade at 40%. Discussions are also a decent portion too at 20%. And then the final exam at the end is worth 5%. So first are the weekly quizzes. These will be in each module, and they are always due Sunday at midnight, the same week that that module is opened, or the week that that module applies to, in case I open it early. And they are just 10 questions from that module's required materials, whether it's the instructor lecture or any other required reading or videos. So if you read and watch the materials carefully, the quizzes aren't designed to trick you, but they do pull from specific parts of these materials. So if you pay attention and go through them carefully and take notes, then you'll be okay on the quizzes. And then there are the discussion posts. So It's not exactly every week. There are about 7 spread out over the course of the entire semester, so every other week or so. Discussions, you either pass or you fail. If you turn in an original post that meets the criteria, such as meeting the word count and responding effectively to that topic, and then if you also reply substantively to someone else by the due date, then you'll get a 100. Two things that are emphasized here on this slide is that your original post is actually due on Thursday, so that everyone has until that Sunday to read the original post and respond. If everyone is waiting until Sunday to post their own original post and then everyone else is waiting until after that to be able to post replies, it's not really fair and it doesn't really account for everyone's schedules that they may have. So your original post is actually due on Thursday of the week that the module is opened, not Sunday. The second thing emphasized here is the word substantive, and that refers to your replies to other people's posts. So, believe it or not, some students will just type the bare minimum or say something like, I totally agree, or what a great take. And it's not really obvious that they actually read that person's post and have an idea of what exactly they're replying to. So, your reply does have to be specific enough that I can tell that you wrote it in response to that post for this class. And then finally, the last type of assignment is the memo. These are the only quote unquote large assignments in that they are 500 words minimum each. And they're also not designed to really trip you up, but they are designed to make you reflect on the material. So I highly suggest giving yourself that time that it takes to really not only read, but also then absorb and reflect on your own thoughts of the material and be able to respond thoughtfully to the prompt. There's a detailed rubric on Canvas with each memo that tells you exactly what to strive for and what to avoid with the memos. And we also dedicate Module 3 to talking entirely about what memos are and how to write and format them and understanding the rubric so that you can make a good grade. So pay close attention to Module 3 and bookmark it for later if you need to reference it. And then last but not least on this memo topic, with each memo assignment, you have the ability to earn 10 points of extra credit by taking your memo to the Writing Center at UNT before it's due and having a one-on-one session with their tutors to either help proofread, improve the grammar, improve some other critiques for your writing, really wherever you are with your skill set. We don't have any modules in our course dedicated to teaching the basic skills of how to write at a college level, how to transition thoughts from one to the next, how to make sure that your thoughts are clear for the reader. Basic writing skills are considered a soft prerequisite for this course because we really don't have time to refresh those skills, but it will be a part of your grade to be able to put ideas onto paper and effectively respond to the prompt, especially. So, if you know that writing is an area where you struggle, or it's been a couple semesters since you had a writing heavy class, I really urge you to take advantage of this extra credit because not only will it give you 10 points of extra credit, which obviously is a huge boost to your grade, but having visited the writing center will also improve your work because it's been edited. So you'll be getting a much better grade, even over 100 potentially. To receive this extra credit, though, here's the stipulation: you must submit proof that you had this visit as the last page of your memo. So there's a couple of things that proof could be. It could be a confirmation email from the Writing Center about your appointment. It could be a screenshot of your calendar invite. It could be a screenshot of your session if you had it on Zoom with the tutor that you had. They do offer online sessions via Zoom, and they also offer in-person sessions at the physical building. So you can go to whichever one works for you. It could be a picture of the notes that you took if it was an in-person session. So proof could mean a few different things. I just gave a few options there, and you can also clarify with me if you have something else that you would like to submit. It must be submitted on time with your memo as the last page. So in other words, it has to be easy for me to see and find and doesn't require a bunch of back and forth emailing between the two of us for you to get that full 10-point bump. It has to also be submitted on time when the memo is due. Just a couple other key pieces of information I want to highlight. So Respondus Lockdown Browser is a type of browser, so it's just like Chrome or Safari that we require you to use for our TECM 1500 quizzes because once you have the quiz up and running within this browser, it won't let you open up other sites or tabs. And it also has a webcam feature so that it can make sure it will kind of AI to detect if someone's looking at notes or referencing their phone or a book or something else. So that's why we use Respondus Lockdown Browser for our async course. It's a way to prevent cheating. The main thing that I want to highlight here is that it is your responsibility to make sure that you have Respondus Lockdown Browser installed and that it's working by the time of the first quiz, or else you won't get credit for that quiz if you try to submit it late. I think the quiz isn't even open after it's due, unless, of course, you've made advance with me, and we've worked out a system. But not having it installed and then not being able to get a response from their chat or support or anything like that in time isn't an excuse for turning it in late. So my philosophy is that the vast majority of the class always is able to figure it out, but with every semester there's like one or two people that haven't been able to do it, or they waited too late, or something like that. So don't be those one or two people, because if everyone else is able to figure it out and get it done, then that doesn't really provide, I think, any argument or justification to allowing a couple of people to get that leniency there. Please do make sure that you've got that done on time. And then I've linked the syllabus in Module 1, and I spent a lot of time whittling it down to just what you need to know, lots of iterations, wordsmithing. And as I mentioned before, this is an asynchronous course, so please do make sure that you're familiar with this content. It is your responsibility. So I'm not going to go over the full syllabus in detail. Just a couple things I do want to point out is that the due dates are firm, unless you make plans with me in advance before the assignment is missed or due or something. The course is structured in a way that you really are provided plenty of time to complete the assignments. And so this policy will be held firmly for the semester. And of course, the policy on academic dishonesty, the main way that this would apply is by the quizzes, making sure that you're alone and that you're not using anything, but obviously using AI to write memos and plagiarizing memos without citing sources. And it's fine to quote something in a memo. Of course, you have to use the proper attributions to the original source. Um, Memos ask you to reflect on your experiences with certain technologies, or your understanding of the texts and the videos. So if you use something like ChatGPT on a memo, will result in a weird submission that talks about like the technology is, but not really a real human's personal experience with that technology. So again, there is ample time provided to complete the memos. So please just plan ahead and plan your calendar accordingly to write those 500 words. And lastly, this is really more of an iteration or a reiteration, sorry. I'm here to answer questions and provide clarifications, but you'll have to reach out and initiate that conversation unless it's during a standard office hour. The earlier, the better. So just to wrap up, the due dates are firm. I do get a lot of the same types of excuses over and over, and these are extensions that I don't grant. Again, the schedule is very predictable, very reasonable, and so because of that, it's very firm. So please plan accordingly to get a couple hours of work done a week for our class. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to complete the quiz and discussion due at the end of this module. Thank you, and I look forward to learning more about you as the semester goes on. Bye-bye.